And I think that too. I personally am an advocate for find you a guy who's on the right path and you help him build to get
Hell
there.
yeah.
But I know this new generation is on some other stuff. But I do want to point out with the Marcus situation. I think to me, I just know for me, his past wouldn't have. I don't care how old I am. His past just wouldn't have, for a lot of women. But I will say this: he does look nice. He's an attractive guy for his age. Like if he keeps that attraction up. Like for example, if I say a Morris, because he's not that old, but if I say a Morris Chestnut, I think that if he were dating somebody younger, he would be okay because he's kept his looks up. Even if he's in his 50s, he has a youthful look. He's still a nice, attractive man.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that this is a one size fits all. I think that only time will tell. If he's able to keep that appearance, he's attractive, then he's gonna keep being at the top. But there are some people I think that they get when you start to look older, that's when it starts to get, those women
Yeah.
kind of fade away a little bit.
And let's not forget that this is not just a behavioral, psychological, societal type of norm. This is actually biological. That survey that went from like age 18 to 90 of asking men when they feel women are most attractive, they said like 19 to 22. Like that was the largest. Like, so all men of all ages find women the most attractive at that age,
We
right?
find ourselves the most attractive at that age. It's
So
not
I
just
mean,
yeah,
I think women find younger. I mean, some people find people when you're talking about attraction, but relationships is more than just being attracted
attractive.
physically to somebody. It
but for
takes
men,
more than
that's
that.
where it starts.
And that's the
That's
reason
where
why
it
they
starts.
get left a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Are we not seeing the correlation here?
I said biology. We can't beat
Yeah.
nature, right? We can't beat nature. So naturally, you're going to find an attractive girl with the right mindset. That's my big thing now. It's really just mindset.
Well,
And when
I
we talk
think
about,
that's just kind of like what you were speaking to about the young woman trying to find somebody in her age group that's making 100 plus. I
Mhm.
think that's where you guys go wrong with thinking that you're going to find a young girl with the right mindset
oh,
at that age.
see,
That's
this is the
rare too.
worst part about it. This is the worst part about it. I have to be on that side. I can absolutely, in some cultures, advocate for marrying at 20. I had students like I'm in Houston. I was teaching the college. I was teaching phlebotomy at night, anatomy and physiology at night. These Mexican girls, their husband, like they're 19, 20 years old, driving one car, buckling it down. They graduate from nursing school. I see them again when they coming in for their BSN. Now they got their own car. They doing it gradually the way it's supposed to be done because they have the family structure in place. I will absolutely advocate for that for them because their
Yeah,
mindset, those
I,
girls'
I agree.
mindset is on point.
I agree. I definitely agree because even like me, like my parents, like my mom, we've talked about this, like in terms of each generation, how things change. So I look at my kids, and I know I've taught my daughter like how to cook. Like her and my son, they had to start cooking early on. Like they learned how to cook. And she was like, well, my friends, they don't have to do it. I don't care. I'm not, your friend's parents. But when I compare my maturity level to my kids' level when they were like 17, 18, well, I'll just say even starting from like 13 up, like when I hit teens, compared to how they were, it's totally different in terms of level of responsibility and
Mhm.
what I did growing up. Like we had to do laundry for the family. We had to cook. Each of us had switched out weeks where we had to cook for the family for the week and, all of those things. But then and when I compare what I had to do growing up versus what my mom was doing, it was on a whole different level. And then going back to my grandmother was a whole different level. So I understand the getting married at an earlier age where it, was appropriate at that time. Because the men were also trained early on to be husbands. They were also trained, to take care, to be fathers. But I think now in this generation, that you don't have either one of those things going on.
Yeah.
The children are not being taught responsibility just across the board. and we baby them a lot longer than we experienced.
And I know that a lot of women get upset at the damaged claim, but when I look at it, and from college, you could think about, like, I went to an HBCU, so I unfortunately have too many former, female friends and family friends now that aren't married. And the part is they have the same rhetoric. They're all the same narrative, like, oh, it wasn't my fault, this, that, and the thing happened. And just knowing them so well, this is why I can confirm what he's saying is true for most men. And unfortunately, I'm going to say the same thing to my son. A lot of these women that I'm referring to, they willfully damage themselves. Nobody asked them, nobody forced them to get into these relationships with knowingly irresponsible men. Like, yo, that dude, like, you see what I'm saying? And they would come talk to me or our other friends about it. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Next thing you know, they pregnant. They asking for money for, a word. I'm like, yo, this
They're
is
not
crazy.
thinking long term.
They're not thinking like
That's
they
what I think.
willfully damage themselves. And then as a man, this is why most men won't trust it. They won't trust that a woman their age will stick by their side and do the right things, is because watching y'all do this, like, or watching women do it, their sisters, cousins, their female friends, watching them do it made them not trust women. We watch women act like men for so long, we just can't trust women our age. That's the way I saw it. That's why when I met a girl, I've only thought I was going to marry a girl, like marry, like twice. So when I met the girl the first time, I let that slip. The second time, I was like, nope, because I knew I'd be at this age struggling. I knew it if I was still unmarried at this age. Or I could just do what Marcus Houston did, go get a 22-year-old.
And then be divorced within the first 5 years.
I wouldn't.
Well, the culture is different, but if she was American,
I was going to say exactly. So this is another point too. This is another point. And I take this back from the Mexican thing. And then this is to your point, mistaken. People forget how much you grow up in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Everything is supposed to be done. School, everything is supposed to be done with no breaks. People like taking breaks. That gap that people like to take, where they call it having fun or living life, you rarely come out of that unscathed. You either come out with a child, right? You come out with some form of something that will make you less attractive to males. That's why I don't want my daughter to do it. Everything in rapid succession. That's why I said if she's in school, and that's why I sent her to school, she's going to be a doctor or something, and maybe she had an internship at the hospital, and the dude's like, I took a liking to her, I'd really like to court your daughter. I'd be like, yep, you can absolutely court her. And when she's done with that, you come by the house, y'all spend time together. You bring these people into the family. That's the way marriage is supposed to be done. People grow up in that. They get mentorship from your mother and father, and you go over. You grow up in that relationship and in that marriage. And people think they're supposed to be grown now. But being grown makes you less appreciative, more defiant, and less willing to compromise, because you come with your own list of demands. You see what I'm saying? So that's probably where.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, the person who's supposed to be the most agreeable has their own list of demands and won't yield. Women are supposed to be the agreeable ones, and they won't yield. So you see how that causes issues.